welcome to the Geeks 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Alil.
This is Steve.
And I guess this is Sean to enjoy the ride. I got my popcorn ready. I want to hear somebody get cursed out.
Sean just wants to hear us talk about 13 Fanboy from 2021. So for those of you who have not been with us before, Steve's already shaking his head, we will play for you our rating system.
Has a rating system in place that we like to call 0 to 0. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
An obsessed fan stalks his favorite actors from the Friday the 13th films and beyond, mirroring his idol, Jason Voorhees. Starring Dee Wallace, Haley Greenbauer, Corey Feldman, Kane Hodder, CJ Graham, Judy Arnson, Ron Sloan, Laura Park Lincoln, Tracy Savage, and a whole bunch of others. It's also directed by Deborah Voorhees, who was also killed in this movie and in the Friday the 13th films. So I'll start because I know already what Steve's going to say. The movie is a 0. Like I had some hope when it came on. It was just I don't know why it randomly played on my Paramount Plus app. I think it's a Paramount Plus for Showtime original. And then I saw like the premise and the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, you get a bunch of the old actors and actresses from the Friday the 13th franchise, and somebody stalking them. That's not bad. And the opening scene, I didn't think was terrible. You know, it's this girl and her grandmother. And the grandmother was in Friday the 13th, and her last name is Voorhees. And then it goes into a convention, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we get a convention scene, a horror convention, which I've been to many. It's like, oh yeah, this is about right. And then it's really bad. It's just really bad. Just really bad. I like Corey Feldman showed up here, and I thought that Corey Feldman would have played Corey Feldman because he was in 2 of the Friday the 13th movies. He played some weird, creepy producer guy and made everything very awkward feeling on screen. So it's a 0. I know Steve's going to yell at me for it for the next 5 minutes.
It's not. Well, I'm just looking back at the track record so far of this year, and I'm looking back at the movies that I've recommended and how many heroes are doled out. And I'm looking back at the ones that you pick, and I'm like, God damn, the scales are tipped. Scales.
There's not many that you chose that I mean, most of this year has been movies you've picked anyway. I mean, yeah,
and they've
played 2 and 3.
A lot of heroes in there.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, this movie might be the worst movie that we've done for 31 days. It might be.
Well,
it might be the worst.
Was like a fan.
I don't know how the fuck you found a Nokia flip phone to film this movie on in 2021, but this shit looks terrible. There's no lighting. The editor was doing fucking like angel dust or something. I don't know. The editor just didn't know what the shit was just happening. The movie was just now I'm this movie, now I'm that movie, now I'm this. The scenes did not go together at all. There was no scenes would just end. They'd be talking and it would just be fade out into a shot of the beach. Now we're at some fucking gym. What is happening? The killer's reveal. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Well, he's the boyfriend. He's been in the whole movie.
How did this get made?
He had dark hair, though. I didn't even know that was the boyfriend.
That was the boyfriend.
I didn't even know it was him. It didn't look like him.
Well, and they set it up for multiple killers because how is this killer having photos and
who's filming this? Every kill scene, every kill was bad. It was bad. Kane Hodder should not have a 5-minute crying death scene acting monologue. It's not good.
But I did love that part because it's
I
Kane
didn't love
Hodder, and Kane Hodder is Kane Hodder, and he
And
deserves to have
that
his
lady
spot.
was crying over his whole performance.
And she was in part 7.
She's not good here. You want to know
She
what
was-
else people don't do?
She
You know
was
what
the
else people
psychic
don't
girl in
do?
part 7. See,
I'm sitting here talking to you and Sean, and it's very rare that I actually say like your guys' names. Like she said Kane.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
45 fucking times in her 2-minute scene with him. Kane, I don't know what's happening, Kane. Kane, what are you thinking about this, Kane? Like, Corey Feldman couldn't decide if he wanted to be like a smarmy guy or like a New York guy. Like his accent was going in and out.
That's his real life is.
Our main girl, though, even though she was in a bunch of different movies, in this one movie, was pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. The opening scene was not terrible with her in the teaching, fighting, or whatever, and then the shower scene. All right, pretty good.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is all of these actors in this movie, all the older actors, they were all like big time actors in the 80s.
Dee Wallace is not a. She's not good.
She's been in a lot of things. I'm just saying.
But she's just
And
not
even-
good
even
anymore.
the-
She's
even the-
so like at the end of the movie when they're like, "I'm gonna give you this drug so that you're gonna fucking like you can't emote." I'm like, "Oh, thank God! At least she has an excuse now."
But I mean, like Judy Arneson, like I mean, she's been in a lot of things. She was the second killer. She was in Weird Science and in just a ton of shit. Like I guess that's what I was at. I was drawn from that nostalgia. It was keeping me going because it was like, oh yeah, I remember that girl. Oh, I remember that girl. Oh, I remember that one. Even like the one girl who was the teacher. She's teaching that class. And they're like, "Were you in Friday the 13th film?" Oh,
Yeah, the one that has the fucking Scream game played with a drill.
Yeah, exactly. The blue bikini. And I was just like, yeah, that's the only thing that kept me going on this is because of my love for that franchise and how many times I've seen every one of those films. It's just seeing them now and then like
it was a badly made movie.
Right. It had a good premise. And I wish it would have followed that because, like, all of a sudden, like, here's the thing that I didn't get is that dude's her boyfriend. He looks like he's 25. She's probably in her early 20s as well, the main girl. How did he kill her grandmother 15 years ago?
She was a baby.
That's what I'm saying.
A little toddler child.
And now she's a cage fighter who... Again, and I think that's
that's the thing, and about the editing, like in the very beginning, like they're just walking around like, hey, like we're all here to like do this thing, and like it's like Deborah Voorhees, star of this. I'm like, is this a what?
It
just felt weird, and then it was just like something happened. She saw something, and she was like, we need to go, and then like then smash cut, they're in the woods and she's putting her in a log and then she runs off and she's like, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. And I'm like, what is happening? What did you even see that scared you? What the fuck is going on?
Well, see, but the thing is, I think that's, again, yes, they didn't do a good job explaining this.
No.
They've are being stalked by, and they even drop it like, oh, this fanboy is different, right? And that's what I liked about it because the premise here was the fandom that goes extreme, right? Like this guy, he has a couple drop lines talking to them about being abused by his dad, and all he had growing up were these movies because he was locked in a basement and beaten, and these people became his friends and family. So he became super obsessed, and like they were talking about it, and that's what I like. That's what I wish they did more of with this movie. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like the premise versus the reality is why I stuck with it.
And like Kane Hodder's just dispatched like nothing. There's no big speech. There's no nothing like, oh, it'd be my greatest honor to kill you to this other CJ guy who was who was Jason in how many movies?
One. He was Jason, I think, in
Kane Hodder was Jason in how many movies?
At least 7, 8, 9.
And there's no speech for Kane Hodder?
10, 5.
There's nothing. Like, come on,
I
man.
agree. I mean, but again, people, depending on where you watch the movies, right? Like,
No,
are you
that's
pre 6 or you post 6?
it's good.
I know, Steve. I understand what you're saying, but what
And
I'm
then
saying,
why is Corey Feldman even in here if he's not going to play Corey Feldman?
yeah, I
Why?
agree. Why did Corey Feldman do this movie? He was like
Are
the
you going to do
old.
the naked scene? Are we going to record the naked scene? Are you
He
going to
was
do the
like
shower
the.
scene?
You needed money.
He was. Oh,
Yeah,
he was actually.
he's got to finance his next album.
He was actually 6. So Kane was 7. Okay, so CJ was 6 because he was in Jason Lives. Yeah, 86. I don't know. I agree. I think that's what pissed me off the most was Corey Feldman should have been one of the people murdered in the movie. Like, oh, I'm going to kill Tommy Jarvis. I'm going to kill the original Tommy Jarvis.
And how our main girl deduces who the second killer is just, I want to use the R word so badly because that's how dumb it is. She's just driving down the road and she's like, oh, that girl had the same bracelet that was in this fucking picture of this thing. Like, I could barely see a fucking reflection of. I'm going to turn around and drive slowly back to Dee Wallace's house.
I agree. I agree.
Ugh. And then she crashes in and like pokes a lady in the belly with some glass and oh, God.
I agree.
When the cops come and arrest Dee Wallace, oh my God, when her husband gets killed and the cops come and arrest her, and that our main girl's just like so disgusted with Dee Wallace, and then like there's like this slow motion scene. There's this slow motion scene of like Dee Wallace being arrested and our main girl walking out with a blanket, slow motion, this super sad music. Like, what fucking movie is this now? Like, this is so overdone. And then like smash cut to the police officers, not like CSI, but like police officers dragging this bloody mattress out of the house. Like, what? In the most realistic looking police officer uniforms I've ever seen.
Police officers were walking in slow motion as well. Remember, you get them cut. You get this scene of them just cut out, walking out of the house.
They all have their police badges. They're like, it's like stitched. It's like a t-shirt.
Steve,
like,
I'm not
like,
disagreeing with that at all. This was
so badly done.
I agree.
And it wouldn't be bad if like, even if the acting was bad, if it told a cohesive story. Like, how does this girl then like look at some things in the laptop, demand to go into the fucking see the fucking police commissioner, shows her this evidence that she came up with on the laptop, and Dee Wallace out of jail. Like, god damn, the judicial system works fast in this world.
Well, I mean,
that's the most unbelievable thing in this whole fucking thing.
She proved it was a fake. I mean, come on, I could see that literally she was clip art, like it felt like it was Microsoft.
We could all see that, but they arrested her so quickly.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, I guess this is how this world. I mean, everything else looks so shitty. Like, that just seemed like par for the course.
I agree. Yeah,
the mask was bad. There was like,
especially there was that scene where they were at Dee Wallace's house, and the boyfriend there then pulls out the killer mask and asks Dee Wallace to sign it. And I'm like, but you're right there telling everybody that you are the killer, because that is the killer's mask that your girlfriend saw kill her grandmother. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
He's really old. He just looks really good for his age.
He's not old, but yes. I have no idea.
He would have to be.
I have no idea. Yes. So, all right. Well, there you go. 13 Fanboy. I don't recommend it, but if you love the Friday the 13th franchise and just want to watch it,
the problem is like I feel bad for some of the people in it because I don't feel like they were the problem. I actually like the main girl here. I think she could probably do some future stuff. And even the boyfriend is actually from the fan films that we watched, the Jason ones, the Don't Hike Alone in the Woods or whatever. Yeah,
the boyfriend that was a killer.
He's like the survivor guy in one of those. He's like the main guy. Like, and he was
So
good in that.
They love the franchise. Well, and CJ, who you were talking about, like he plays Elias Voorhees in those. Remember when Jason's father came
Oh.
back? He's plays Jason's father in those. So
Well, and and I love Kane Hodder, but I thought that these actresses were really, besides our main one, were really just not very good. They were just, everything seemed super cheesy, and they didn't.
But if you look at their careers, that's what they were.
I
You know
know,
what I mean?
but
Like
I guess I just don't have the nostalgia for it like that. Like, if they would have leaned more into the Friday the 13th aspect of it, then yeah, like put
Right,
a killer in the fucking Jason mask, for fuck's sake.
That's
like,
what I was just about to say. That make a variation of the Jason mask rather than this weird.
What if it was just the Jason mask
pumpkin
just painted
skeleton.
black? Like, just something like that we got, like that hockey mask. Give him, they were using knives, and I mean, it's not like Jason Voorhees only used a machete, I mean, that was his weapon of choice, but he killed people with lots and lots of stuff. So,
Agreed.
if they would have leaned more into the Friday the 13th aspect of it, instead of just talking about it, then I would have, Kane Hodder should have gotten more love. And it looked cheap. That was the main problem.
For a movie you didn't like, you guys sure are talking about it for a long time.
We are. Very, very true.
It looked cheap. It just looked cheap.
All right. Well, there you go. It looked cheap. So that's it for tonight. Thank you for listening. This is Lil.
I don't understand what the fuck they was watching. I just wanted to stay down here and just hear the arguments. This is Sean.
There wasn't really an argument because Lil didn't like it either. So,
Yeah.
And this is Steven. Until tomorrow night, keep it creepier than this piece of shit movie.
And don't be cheap.
Don't look cheap.